Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we aren't just wading into a crisis. We are diving headfirst into what looks like a multi-front war,
Absolutely.
a war for control over a life that hasn't even begun yet.
Yeah, the stakes couldn't be higher. We're talking immense wealth, complex legal battles, deeply personal vendettas.
And it all centers on the unborn child of Luna Nozawa and Will Spencer.
It really is a tangled situation.
Yeah.
Our sources, they paint this picture where the mother, Luna, she's locked up. She could be facing life in prison.
Right.
And at the same time, the child's grandfather, Bill Spencer, he's not just sitting back, he's actively using his vast resources.
Empire.
Pretty much, yeah. To make sure she never, ever gets near that baby. This isn't just about who gets custody day to day.
No.
It feels like Bill is weaponizing his power. He sees Luna now as like a fundamental threat to the whole Spencer legacy.
So our mission today, it's pretty complex. We need to sort of synthesize these wildly different motivations. We've got, 5 major parties all vying for custody?
At least 5, yeah. Yeah. And their reasons are all over the map.
Exactly. From the, seemingly moral and protective side, like the Finnegans, to the completely self-serving, driven by, let's be honest, sheer financial greed and maybe desperation in some cases.
Definitely desperation for some.
And we also have to spend some serious time dissecting Luna's plan, her countermove, which sounds desperate, frankly, and maybe dangerous.
Oh, incredibly dangerous. It's a plan that seems built entirely on manipulating Bill Spencer by targeting his, maybe his single greatest weakness.
Okay, before we get to that, let's set the scene properly. Luna's downfall. How did we get here?
Well, her initial dream, or maybe delusion is the better word.
Yeah.
It was simple on the surface. Get the DNA test confirming Will's the father, check. Marry Will Spencer, not check.
Right.
And then become the lady of the manor, raising the baby inside the, Spencer empire. That was the goal.
And she did get the DNA confirmation. Will is the father. But that dream, it just completely imploded, didn't it?
Totally. The second the truth about how the baby was conceived came out, it was over.
Because, let's be clear, she got him drunk and molested him. That's what the sources say.
Unequivocally.
Yeah.
And because of that, Will wants nothing to do with her. Or it seems even the child, really. That context is crucial.
It poisons everything. It makes her whole happy family scenario impossible. And it basically opens the door for everyone else to stake their claim against her.
Precisely. Now, the immediate trigger for her arrest, interestingly, it wasn't a Spencer.
No, it was Electra Forrester, right?
Like to call the cops. Yep. Chief Baker shows up, hauls Luna away. And suddenly, Luna's in this complete panic mode.
Begging for help.
Begging. And probably expecting Bill to swoop in like he did before. That was the pattern, wasn't it? Bill saves the day.
But the game totally changed this time.
Fundamentally different. Her new reality hit hard when Bill delivered that message. Not this time. No help, no release.
In fact, the opposite. He's using the same connections he used to get her out of prison before.
The party, yeah.
To make sure she stays in prison this time. For good, potentially.
It's a brutal reversal. The predator, or manipulator, maybe, has become the prey. And that huge shift takes us straight into Section 1. Bill Spencer's power play. It's aggressive, it's calculated.
Okay.
And to really get his mindset now, you have to look back. Like you said, remember, Bill used his influence, his connections, to get Luna that pardon.
When she was in for murder charges, no less. Tied up in that whole mess.
Exactly. And why did he do it? Because Luna played the victim card masterfully.
The staged beating.
The staged beating in prison. She made Bill believe her life was genuinely in danger, that she'd be killed.
And that taps right into Bill's psyche, doesn't it? He can't stand someone being vulnerable or harmed on his watch, so to speak, especially if he feels responsible, even indirectly.
Precisely.
Yeah.
It worked like a charm back then. But now, our sources show this stunning reversal. He sees her now as this lunatic woman.
Harsh words.
Very. But crucially, she's carrying his grandchild, so he's taking his deep pockets, those same powerful connections,
The ones that got her pardoned.
and aiming them like a weapon with the exact opposite goal. Keep her locked up, preferably for life. And the sources use this language to snatch the baby away from her permanently.
Wow. Snatch the baby away. That's visceral.
It is. And let's think about the impact of that threat on Luna. More than just jail time, more than being uncomfortable.
Yeah.
The sources suggest it's this specific threat, Bill taking her child, that truly terrifies her. She knows Bill. She knows what he's capable of when he sets his mind to something, especially with his resources.
She's up against a legal and financial juggernaut.
Completely. And Bill's framing this, as him being the ultimate protector of the Spencer line. He's ensuring his grandchild isn't raised by someone he now deems totally unfit, morally bankrupt, psychologically unstable in his view.
Okay, but he's not planning to do this alone, is he? There's the Katie factor.
Right, the joint proposal. Katie Logan explicitly stated, according to sources, that she and Bill would raise the child together.
Offering stability, a known family unit, presumably.
That's the pitch. But if we dig into Bill's personal motivations here, it gets murky.
How so?
Well, protecting the baby is definitely part of it, maybe even the main part on the surface. The sources strongly hint that raising this baby together is Bill's, ultimate strategy to win Katie back.
So the baby becomes leverage.
Potentially. He might see this child not just as a grandchild, but as a vehicle, a way to get a new lease on life for his relationship with Katie, a shared purpose.
That really needs a closer look, doesn't it? Is he genuinely just protecting the baby? Or is he using this innocent child, this whole crisis, as a pawn in his ongoing game to reconcile with Katie?
Given Bill's history as a manipulator, as the sources often describe him, it's a very valid question. Is this another calculated move, create a shared project, a new family dynamic, to draw Katie back in?
He'd be solving two problems at once, wouldn't he? Secure the Spencer heir and get Katie back under his roof, essentially.
It certainly looks that way. But, and this is important, even if Bill and Katie are united on this front, it's far from a done deal.
Because Luna still has rights, even in prison.
Exactly. She has legal rights.
Yeah.
And given that Bill is actively working to keep her locked up, the idea that she'd just willingly sign over custody to him, it seems unlikely.
Highly unlikely. So we're looking at a potentially brutal, very expensive legal fight.
Absolutely. Bill might have the money, but Luna might have legal standing, however precarious.
And finally, in this initial group, we have to talk about the father, Will Spencer. His role seems to be mostly absence.
That's a good way to put it. The sources describe him as pretty much apathetic about custody.
Which, given the horrifying circumstances of the conception,
is perhaps understandable, if deeply sad for the child. He's not fighting for Luna, clearly. But he's not really fighting for the child either. He seems removed.
So Bill and Katie's plan is basically to step into that vacuum.
Their plan seems to be step in, help Will raise the baby, but under their terms, their control. And the key condition is Luna is never, ever included, wiped from the picture.
A clean break, legally sealed, free of the Nozawa drama, as they'd see it.
That's the vision. But they might be seriously underestimating the other players who are about to enter the ring.
Yeah, because that clean sweep isn't just facing opposition from Luna, it's facing it from a family operating on a completely different value system.
Right. Morality versus money.
Okay, so let's pivot now to the Finnegan clan. This group's claim seems rooted much more in morality, protection, and maybe this idea of a do-over.
Exactly. It's a significant shift from Bill's power plays and potential self-interest. Here, the motivations sound more about right and wrong, at least on the surface.
Let's start with great-grandma Lee Finnegan. What's driving her?
Lee's motivation seems really intense, almost like a moral crusade. She appears to view this baby as a chance to, well, correct the course of a family line she believes has been fundamentally tainted.
Tainted by whom? Luna and Poppy.
By the Nozawa women, yes.
Oh, yeah.
Luna and her mother, Poppy. The sources suggest Lee's desire for this baby is, well, it's quite judgmental.
How so?
She seems to want the baby partly to prove she can raise it right, to prove she can instill the correct values, and, crucially, ensure this child doesn't end up evil or morally corrupt like she sees Luna and Poppy.
Wow, evil. That's strong language. It sounds less like adoption and more like a preemptive intervention, a psychological cleansing of the family tree.
That's a really sharp way to put it. It feels like that. It's a classic nature versus nurture debate playing out, but with incredibly high personal stakes for Lee. Her goal isn't money. It feels almost existential.
So she wants to surround the child with good role models, instill morality, sound judgment, basically fight against what she sees as the inherent Nozawa toxicity.
That seems to be the core of it, and the benchmark she uses, her own son, Finn.
Right. She holds Finn up as the example.
She does. She wants this child to turn out like Finn. She often credits herself for raising him well, despite, the significant challenges in his own genetic background.
Yeah, the fact that his biological parents are Jack and Sheila Carter.
Exactly. So Lee sees Finn as proof that good upbringing can overcome problematic DNA, so to speak. And this baby is her second chance to demonstrate that, to mold a child with the right moral compass, free from the drama she blames squarely on Poppy and Luna.
It's fascinating the level of projection there. She's fighting a potential future outcome based on her judgment of the mother and grandmother.
She believes her guidance is the only thing that can save this child from, like an inherited destiny of instability or bad choices.
Okay, that strong moral stance continues with Grandpa John Finnegan. Finn himself, right? His claim seems even more layered, more emotional, tied to his own past.
Absolutely. Finn's motivation, his protective stance, seem driven by at least three really powerful, distinct factors.
What's the first one?
The simplest one is the do-over. Remember, Finn only found out Luna was his biological daughter quite late in the game.
Right, he missed her childhood entirely.
Entirely. He never got the chance to raise her, guide her, protect her from the path she ended up on. So this baby, Luna's child, represents a genuine second chance for him to step into that fatherly role within that specific family line.
Okay, that makes sense. A chance to finally be the father he couldn't be to Luna. What's the second factor?
The second one hits much closer to home for him personally. It resonates deeply with his own history.
Yeah.
Finn, as we know, is adopted.
Yeah.
And his relationship with his birth mother, well, psychotic mom Sheila, as the sources sometimes refer to her, that has shaped so much of his life. All the trauma, the chaos.
So he sees parallels.
It seems so. He looks at this baby situation, mother in prison, a powerful grandfather trying to manipulate things, a legacy of instability, and he likely sees echoes of his own troubled start. That probably fuels a really deep, almost innate empathy, a desire to shield this child from the kind of chaos he endured.
That's powerful, wanting to break the cycle.
Exactly. But there's a third reason, and this one is maybe the most forceful, certainly the most confrontational. His fierce desire to protect this child, specifically from the influence of Dollar Bill Spencer.
Ah, so it's not just about providing a good home, it's about preventing a bad one, in his view.
Precisely. Finn's view of Bill is scathing. The sources quote him seeing Bill as a cheater, a liar, and attempted murderer, just morally bankrupt.
Standard criticisms of Bill, maybe? But is there more to it?
There is. It's more specific. This is crucial because it ties the past directly to this current crisis.
Okay.
Finn apparently sees Bill Spencer as the ultimate cause of this entire mess.
How does he figure that?
Because Bill used his power to get Luna, he got her released from prison, even after she was involved in the plot against Steffi, Finn's wife. Remember, Luna attacked Steffi.
Right, I remember. So Finn's logic is if Bill hadn't intervened back then,
Luna would still be in prison. This pregnancy, resulting from her manipulating Will, would never have happened.
Wow. So in Finn's eyes, Bill's past actions, his misuse of justice to protect Luna back then, directly enabled this current situation.
It's exactly. Finn believes Bill prioritized his own twisted sense of protection for Luna over actual justice for Steffi, and that decision set the stage for this new Spencer heir conceived under duress. Therefore, Finn feels a moral duty to stop Bill from gaining control over the truly innocent party here, the baby.
That adds a whole other layer of animosity to the custody fight between them. It's personal history colliding with the present.
Deeply personal. And we can't ignore the Steffi factor in all this. It makes Finn's claim potentially very strong.
How so? Steffi would support this.
Well, the sources consistently point out that Finn and Steffi are seen as great, stable parents. Finn knows this. And there's discussion suggesting he might try to convince Steffi to adopt the baby with him.
Steffi has adopted before, hasn't she? And she loves kids. But would she take on Luna's baby, given the history?
That seems to be the multi-million-dollar question. The sources suggest that Steffi might consider it, but likely only under one very strict condition.
Which is?
Finn would probably have to make an absolute binding promise to cut both Luna and Sheila completely out of their lives. Forever.
Wow. Total severance.
Total severance. Steffi values stability above all, especially after everything with Sheila. She wouldn't tolerate any ongoing risk or drama associated with either woman near her family, so Finn might have to choose a future with this child or any remaining connection to Luna and Sheila.
That's a heavy price, trading his past for this child's future. Okay, we've looked at the power play from Bill and Katie and the sort of moral or protective claims from the Finnegans. Now we have to pivot to Section 3, and this is where the motivations seem, let's just say, less altruistic.
That's putting it mildly. Yeah. We're now talking about claims driven purely by self-interest, money, access, control over the Spencer fortune. These are definitely the most controversial players in the mix.
And we have to start with Papi Nozawa, Luna's mother. The sources paint her as, well, the ATM grandparent.
That description fits perfectly based on the source material. Her reaction when she heard about Luna's situation is just stunningly revealing.
What did she do?
First, she apparently expresses pure hatred for Luna. The sources mention her calling Luna the B word, even when finding out she was alive after thinking she might be dead. Real animosity there.
Okay.
But then, almost in the same breath, she immediately congratulates Luna on the pregnancy, telling her it was well played.
Well played. Getting pregnant by a Spencer while potentially facing prison.
Exactly. That sudden shift from hatred to congratulations tells you everything about her priorities.
It's all about the money.
Completely. Personal feelings are relevant next to the financial opportunity. Poppy is consistently described in the sources as a known gold digger. And this baby, it's a confirmed Spencer heir.
So Poppy doesn't see a grandchild, she sees.
A payday. An ATM, as the sources put it. A walking, talking link to the Spencer millions.
And her goal will be?
Entirely mercenary. The speculation is she'd fight for custody or at least significant access, specifically to leverage the child's status, demand enormous child support, maybe try to control trust funds, essentially gain financial access to the Spencer family wealth.
And this isn't new territory for her, is it? Didn't she try something like this before?
Absolutely. You have to remember her history. She previously tried desperately to pass Luna off as Bill's daughter.
Right. To get that cushy Spencer lifestyle for herself and Luna back then?
Exactly. That failed. But this time, with this baby, she has a legitimate biological link through Luna to the Spencer fortune. It's her second shot at the jackpot through her grandchild.
It really underscores that phrase, the Nozawa power dynamic. Mother and daughter might despise each other.
But that shared goal of tapping into Spencer wealth seems to be the strongest connection they have. Luna being the apple who fell very close to the tree, as one source puts it. They won't even work together despite the animosity if it means financial gain.
Okay, that desire for access, for connection to the powerful families. That brings us to the fifth party, Sheila Carter.
Ah, Sheila. Her claim is, legally speaking, probably impossible. A complete long shot.
But she's still in the mix.
Oh, she's absolutely in the mix emotionally. Her motivation seems rooted in sheer desperation. She needs to maintain some kind of link to the few people left in her orbit.
And she sees this great-grandchild as that link.
The sources suggest she views this baby as her only link, possibly her last link, to both Finn and Luna. Think about her situation right now.
It's pretty dire for her, connection-wise.
Extremely. Steffi is hardening her stance against Sheila again, especially after finding out Sheila lied and helped hide Luna.
Right. That betrayal cut deep for Steffi.
Luna herself is likely going to prison for a very long time, maybe life. That cuts off easy, regular access right there.
And Deacon, her relationship there seems precarious, too.
Very precarious. There's a real chance she could lose him soon as well. So she's facing this potential total isolation.
And this baby represents a future connection. Hope.
Exactly. It's her existential lifeline. And she might even be rationalizing her involvement through this twisted idea of a third-generation do-over.
A do-over? What does that mean in Sheila's context?
Well, think about her narrative. She feels she was cheated out of raising Finn, right? Her husband, Jack, basically strong-armed her into giving Finn up for adoption.
Okay.
Then she might see it as Finn being deceived or prevented from raising Luna, her granddaughter. So in her mind, the family keeps getting denied the chance to raise its own.
So this great-grandchild is like the universe giving her another chance to fix things, to finally have that family connection she feels she was denied twice before.
That seems to be the psychological justification, however twisted. A chance to finally set things right from her perspective.
But let's be realistic, the reality check here is huge.
Yes, if the sources all agree, zero chance. No judge, absolutely no judge in their right mind would award custody of a baby to psycho Sheila Carter.
Given her history.
Yeah.
Violence, manipulation, attempted murder, the list is long.
And Bill and Katie. They would fight her involvement tooth and nail. They'd see her as the ultimate threat to the child's safety.
So, legally impossible, morally opposed by almost everyone else. Why even try?
Because for Sheila, it's probably not about logic or winning legally. It's emotional. It's about clinging to that last shred of family. The sources predict she won't be deterred by the impossibility. She'll try anyway.
Making an already complicated situation even more chaotic.
Infinitely more chaotic.
Okay, so we've mapped out the battlefield. We have Bill and Katie pushing for control and maybe reconciliation. We have the Finnegans offering morality and protection, or maybe a do-over, and then Poppy and Sheila looking for money and access. 5 distinct claims.
All colliding.
Now, we get to what might be the most explosive part of this whole thing, Section 4. Luna's counterattack. Her desperate and, you said, incredibly dangerous plan.
Yeah, this is where Luna tries to flip the script entirely. And she's doing it by going after Bill's one true vulnerability.
It is.
His need to be the hero, the protector,
Yeah.
especially of women or family he feels responsible for.
And how is she planning to exploit that?
Well, her plan seems built on something that worked before. It has a precedent. We have to go back to that first incident, the blueprint for this. Remember when she was beaten to a pulp in prison last time?
When she was in for the murder charges, yeah, before Bill got her the pardon.
Exactly. And what did we eventually learn about that beating?
It was completely staged. She arranged it herself.
She arranged it herself, a willing participant in her own assault, purely to manipulate Bill, to trigger his sympathy, his protective instincts.
And it worked perfectly. He was terrified she'd be killed. He pulled out all the stops, used his connections, got her released, and pardoned.
She played him like a fiddle because she understands his psychological weak spot perfectly. Bill Spencer might tolerate lying, cheating, even crime to some extent. But he cannot stand the thought of a woman, especially one tied to his family, being physically brutalized, particularly if he thinks he could have prevented it.
That protective instinct overrides his judgment, his anger, everything else.
Luna knows this. It's the key in his emotional lock. So now, facing life in prison and Bill actively working against her, she's apparently decided to run the same play again. But this time, she's significantly upping the ante.
How? Another staged beating.
Another staged beating, yes. The sources detail the mechanism quite specifically. She again requests a beating from a fellow inmate. She is, again, a willing participant, taking punches, getting roughed up badly, face upper body, making it look severe.
Okay, that's already incredibly risky, but what makes it upping the ante?
The baby. Here's the critical, incredibly calculated detail that makes this pure high-stakes manipulation. While arranging the beating, she explicitly tells the inmate not to touch her belly.
Protect the baby at all costs, even while getting herself beaten up.
Exactly. The beating needs to be bad enough for her to appear mangled, triggering alarm bells. But the unborn child, the Spencer heir, must remain unharmed, deliberately protected by the mother herself amidst the violence.
Wow. That is chillingly smart. It's a high-wire act.
It really is. The purpose seems twofold. First, create visible, undeniable evidence of extreme injury and danger. Second, subtly signal to Bill that she, Luna, prioritizes the baby's safety even in these dire circumstances. It's designed to shift Bill's focus entirely.
Away from punishing her.
And onto protecting the unborn Spencer grandchild. His grandchild's safety becomes the paramount concern, overriding his desire to keep Luna locked away.
So once these injuries become known, the bruises, the cuts, the story of the assault?
The dilemma immediately surfaces for Bill, for the prison authorities, for the whole system. The question becomes unavoidable. Is the pregnant woman, and therefore the unborn Spencer baby she carries, in immediate acute danger inside prison?
And if the answer seems to be yes, Bill is trapped.
He's completely trapped by his own code. He can't just let his pregnant grandchild potentially come to harm in prison, especially when he has the power, the connections, the money to prevent it. Even if he despises Luna, his ego, his dynasty, his protective instincts demand he act.
He'd almost be forced to get her out, wouldn't he? Against his own wishes, purely to safeguard the bloodline.
That seems to be precisely what Luna's counting on. It's a massive gamble on her understanding of Bill's psychology.
Okay, so Luna gets beaten up, protecting the baby. How does the message get to Bill? This is where Poppy comes back in.
Exactly. Poppy Nozawa re-enters as the calculated messenger in this scheme. Remember, Poppy congratulated Luna on the pregnancy, seeing the financial angle.
Right.
So Luna likely ensures Poppy is the first one to see these injuries, maybe during a prison visit.
And then Poppy runs straight to Bill.
That's the likely strategy outlined by the sources. Luna dispatches Poppy, probably coached on exactly what to say, to go tweed Luna's case to Bill.
But the plea won't be about poor Luna, will it?
Oh, no. The argument will be framed entirely around the baby. Bill, the baby is in danger, prison is too violent, you have to get Luna out to protect your grandchild. Poppy, fueled by her own desire for that Spencer money connection, becomes a surprisingly effective, if terrifying, advocate for release.
Because she's arguing for the baby's safety, which plays right into Bill's weakness.
Perfectly. And this potentially leads to the financial endgame both Nozawa women seem to be ultimately aiming for.
Which is?
The sources speculate that Bill, now desperate to neutralize the immediate threat to the baby and probably just wanting Luna and Poppy out of his hair, might offer a payoff.
By her silence, by her cooperation.
A substantial payoff, yeah. A small fortune, as the sources term it. Enough money to get Luna out of prison safely, ensure the baby is born outside that dangerous environment, and maybe Bill hopes get them to disappear.
But wait, even if this incredibly risky plan works, she gets beaten up, Poppy delivers the message, Bill potentially pays her off and helps get her released. That doesn't actually solve the custody issue, does it?
Not at all. It just changes the battlefield. The fight moves from inside a prison cell where Luna has almost no leverage to the outside world, possibly a courtroom, where she has money and freedom.
And the sources still say Bill is determined to snatch the baby.
Absolutely. The sources stress that Bill's determination to gain custody, likely with Katie, remains unchanged. The potential payoff is just the price of ensuring the baby's immediate safety during pregnancy and birth. It's not the price of custody itself. That battle is still coming.
So Luna is playing this incredibly dangerous game, betting her physical safety, her freedom, everything on her reading of Bill Spencer's psychology.
She's betting that his need to protect his bloodline is stronger than his desire to punish her. It's explosive. This custody fight is shaping up to be an absolute chaotic, multi-front war.
So where does this leave us? We've got these 5 parties, 5 sets of claims, all pulling in different directions. Bill and Katie, the Finnegans, Poppy, Sheila, and Luna herself, with her desperate gambit.
It's a tangled web. And maybe the first thing to consider before we wrap up is Luna's preference, if she even gets a say.
Right. If Luna actually has any legal influence on where the baby goes, who would she choose?
Well, the sources suggest she'd likely lean towards Finn, maybe. Or perhaps even Sheila, surprisingly.
Why them?
Well, Finn represents a path where her parental rights might be acknowledged, even if indirectly. He's the biological grandfather who missed raising her. Sheila, for all her faults, might represent continued access, a link Luna wouldn't have with the others. It's strategic thinking, even from her position.
And who would she definitely not want?
Definitely not Lee Finnegan, who clearly judges her entire existence. Certainly not Bill and Katie, who are actively plotting to take her child and keep her locked up. And probably especially not Poppy.
Even her own mother.
Yeah, the sources mention Luna feels Poppy did her wrong as a kid. She knows Poppy is only in it for the money. Luna might be a manipulator, but she seems to understand who her real enemies are and who just sees her as a means to an end.
Okay, so summing up the main contenders and their drives. Bill and Katie are about control, legacy, and maybe fixing their own relationship.
Right. Dynastic control mixed with personal reconciliation hopes.
The Finnegan clan, Lee and Finn, they're driven by morality, maybe guilt, a desire for a do-over, and crucially, protecting the child from Bill's influence.
Correct. A moral imperative versus perceived corruption.
And then Poppy and Sheila, it's almost purely transactional or desperate. Money, access, clinging to a final link.
Gold digging and emotional desperation, essentially. Irreconcilably different motives across the board.
So the bottom line, pulling together what all the sources seem to suggest, is that Bill and Katie might think they have this locked down.
But it's not going to be nearly as easy as they hoped, especially now with Luna deploying this incredibly high-stakes manipulation.
That staged beating plan, it really throws a wrench in Bill's strategy, doesn't it?
It forces him into a terrible corner. Luna has deliberately put herself in harm's way, protecting the baby just enough to force Bill to choose. Does he stick to his guns and punish Luna, potentially risking the Spencer heir? Or does he act as the protector, fulfilling his own self-image, but letting Luna manipulate him again?
It creates this huge moral paradox for him. He uses his power to save people, but usually people he deems worthy. Now, he might have to save someone he despises just for the sake of the bloodline.
And that forces us to question his motives even further.
Which leads us perfectly into our final provocative thought for you, the listener, to really chew on as this whole saga unfolds.
If Luna's ultimate goal, beyond just freedom, really is to secure that small fortune, as the sources suggest, and if Bill does offer to basically buy her silence to protect the baby, how does putting a price tag, a guaranteed financial worth, on a Spencer heir complicate those moral arguments?
Yeah, especially the Finnegans' idea of a moral do-over. Can you have a pure moral rescue when the child itself is potentially being treated as a high-value asset in a negotiation?
And digging deeper into Bill's role. Does his plan to use all his power— remember, he's got his own very questionable history as a manipulator, a liar, even an attempted murderer, according to Finn. Does using that power to deny Luna access make him a genuine protector here?
Or is he just another kind of manipulator, maybe a more powerful one, using this child, this crisis, to assert his control over the situation, over Katie, over the whole moral landscape? Who's really the protector and who's the predator in this scenario?
Lots to think about there. Protector or just another manipulator with deeper pockets?
Definitely something to consider as the battle for the newest and arguably most contested Spencer heir truly begins. Join us next time for another deep dive.